Alice District staff and public that are here joining us today. Time is 6:44 p.m. on this, the 17th day of May 2023, and I call the regular meeting of the United Independent School District Board of Trustees to order. May I have the trustees that are present please announce their full name for the record. Ricardo Rodriguez present.
Michelle Molina present.
Elisa Oliveros present.
Javier Montemayor present.
Frank Castillo present.
And myself, Ramiro Vélez III. That the record show the quorum of board members is present, that this meeting has been duly called, and that notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act. Agenda item 2 is Pledge of Allegiance and honor the Texas flag.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. On the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one indivisible.
Thank you. Agenda item 3, recognition. We have already gone through the recognitions that were scheduled for tonight. We will move on to agenda item 4, public comments. Do we have any public comments that are signed up?
Yes, sir. We have approximately 11 public comments. The first one will be from Judge David Garcia regarding the naming of the LBJ High School Fieldhouse.
Thank you. And there are no particular order. I will remind the public that we have a 3-minute time limit for each comment.
I was here for your recognition. You all are very busy. I will be mindful.
Thank you.
But thank you, honorable members of the United Independent School District Board, for this opportunity to speak in favor of naming the LBJ Fieldhouse after one of your teachers, one of your coaches. My name is David E. Garcia. Who I am and what I do is not important for today. For today, I am just one voice, a voice that came to say a few kind words for a man I once called a teammate, a man I still consider a brother. I hope my words don't fail to express what an incredible man this was, and that my words don't fail to accumulate the number of people he inspired, mainly your students. I never considered much the significance of naming a building after someone and what it really meant. I guess that the hope is that in years to come, people will stop in front of that name and ask, who was Mike Medina? To understand who the man was, you have to go back to when he was a high school student. In 1981, when he played football, and when he graduated in 1982. In 1981, Laredo high school football teams did not win district championships. Laredo football players were not all district players. In 1982, very few people went to college. That was a sad reality of the state of affairs in 1981 and 1982. In 1981, Mike Medina became part of a movement or a mission that it was no longer sufficient to compete with the bigger schools in San Antonio and Houston. It became a mission to succeed and to win. Competing was no longer just an option. You had to win. And in doing so, Mike Medina became an all-district player in a district made up of all San Antonio schools except for Nixon and Martin. An incredible feat. Not only that, in 1981, Mike Medina was a tremendous force behind the first team in Laredo history to outright win a football district championship. It had never happened before. But this movement that he was a part of was not only a movement to win in athletics, it was a movement to achieve other things in life, to be a better son, to be a better father, a better teacher, and a coach, and to inspire.
You want to finish your thoughts, sir? Right there.
That's a buzzer.
That's about, that's a 3 minutes.
Wow.
I'm fast.
Well, in my profession, we don't get going after 10 minutes, but let me just finish by saying this. Thank you, sir.
Sir.
Mike Medina was an All-American football player at the college. Again, where very few had gone to college at all. He almost made it as an NFL player. Let me just say that he is part of your great UISD family, whose primary mission is to impart knowledge and inspire. And Mike Medina was one of those who just happened to do it better than most. Thank you, members.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Next we have Ms. Julissa Garza regarding proposals to regain funding, loss, and pay raises.
Hello. Good evening, honorable board members, superintendent, and those present. For the record, my name is Julissa Garza, and I'm a parent, taxpayer, and teacher at UISD. I know that our fiscal department, Ms. Laida Benavides and Mr. San Flores, have been hard at work trying to look for funding that can sustain teacher and staff cost of living increase. I know that they keep abreast of all the funding information and actively look forward for ways that our district can tap into funding. As mentioned in the prior meeting, we are in a $14 million deficit. The deficit comes about many issues. One of them being our inability to maintain attendance rate and enrollment, especially after COVID. But yet the board decided to take a gamble and approve such budget. I can turn blue in the face and going on about talking about why we all deserve this cost of living increase, as I have done in past board meetings during public comment. But as a person that has prior experience of multi-million-dollar federal grants, I understand that there is no funding, and that if there's no funding, there's no way that we will be able to get that cost of living raise that we so desperately and so deservingly need. Unless, of course, you tighten your belt, to cut from the top, stop unnecessary spending, or find creative ways to regain enrollment count and maintain attendance rates, which is why I'm here. According to TEA, UISD had an enrollment count of 43,333 students for fiscal year 1920. And last year, fiscal year 2021 and 2022, we had an enrollment rate of 39,316. That's a difference of 3,717 students that we lost in enrollment, not counting the attendance rate, which has been decimal throughout the district. I'm here to propose the idea of online public schooling in order to regain that FSP revenue that was lost during enrollment due to attendance and truancy. My proposal stems from being a former homeschool parent myself, and while my decision to homeschool my child was greatly dependent on health concerns at the time, and not because UISD lacks qualified personnel at the schools. I deem the health concerns and safety to be one of the reasons why parents post-COVID still kept their kids at home. I know several public school districts and charter schools alike have offered online synchronous learning, like Huntsville ISD, Austin, PSJA. PSJA lost 3,817 students after COVID. And with the creation of their public online schooling option, they managed to regain 2,489 students and successfully maintain that increase.
You want to finish your...
Okay, thank you, I appreciate it. And so I explored and I dissected the TEA student attendance accounting handbook for this year. And UISD has shown that we have the resources to make online schooling option a reality. I mean, we come with the MiFis, we come with the Chromebooks, with the buses that can have Wi-Fi capabilities. The revenue that we are talking about for about 3,400 students is roughly $20 million, okay? So if we have this open enrollment option, I believe that $14 million deficit that we have can be wiped out. and thereby provide an opportunity for you all to finally vote on giving us that sustainable cost of living. And now the question is, will UISD be the first here in Laredo, or we will allow LISD to take a chunk of that $20 million that's up for grabs? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Luis de la Garza regarding pay raises.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, the board, and Mr. Gonzalez. As many of you all are well aware, Mr. De La Viña has retired from public service today as well, and consequently, Laredo United has entrusted me with the reins of this organization. For the record, my name is Luis de la Garza, known to many by Y as well, and I will be the new Laredo United TSA president effective June 1st. I would also like to publicly state that all official statements of TSA Laredo United come directly through the office of the president. Our nation is facing runaway inflation that salaries have not been able to keep up with, and as a result, many workers in the district have been working second jobs to help make ends meet. The morale of our workers, y'all's family members, is low due to the lack of comparable raises. We have often heard that there is not enough money in the district treasury to increase district workers' salaries. However, the district is looking to allot money to purchase a plaque to honor Mr. Carol Summers. While Mr. Summers' contribution to UISD is significant, it is my firm belief that the contribution of the district workers is equally as essential, if not more so, as they help provide exceptional service to the needs of students on a daily basis. The amount that will be utilized can best be spent on those that are continuing to impact our students' needs. The amount that is saved by refraining from purchasing this plaque can be used to help a worker's family that may be struggling to feed his or her family. I am asking UISD to create a significant cost of living adjustment for all workers based on their pay scale. This cost of living adjustment is separate from the raise that workers need in order to help sustain themselves and their families. Due to the major increase in everyday staple items, I am asking this body to provide comparable raises for all its employees to mitigate the rising cost of inflation. Last year, Hays County ISD provided a 7% cost of living adjustment for all employees at the midpoint of each pay grade. As I previously stated at Laredo ISD, I took the liberty of comparing starting salaries of 3 Title I border districts who share the same demographics as United ISD. What we found was that they have higher starting salaries, one of those being PSJ starting a Year Zero teacher at $55,000 a year. The highest starting pay for these paraprofessionals such as bus drivers, custodians, and security also benefited from a higher starting pay at $15 an hour. I chose to compare these 3 districts as they share the same demographic group as UISD, including an ADA, which may fluctuate due to students commuting in and out of Mexico throughout the course of the year. As speaking to some of our Laredo United board members, Ms. Madrid, who has also spoken to some of you all regarding the raises, we are of course trying to find ways to mitigate these costs, and we know that it is important and it's essential to present a balanced budget. May I continue?
Go ahead.
It has also come to my attention the district has been utilizing staffing agencies as a means to reinforce its lagging number of personnel. It is not in the best interest of the district nor its trusted charges for safety and security reasons. Staffing agencies do not vet their temporary employees the same degree of measure as the district would. As a result, safety issues may arise and will arise. The employment of staffing agency also hurts the district workers who are not paid as well as providing staffing agency. While the temporary worker may be paid the same amount as a district employee, the staffing agency invoices a quantity that is greater than what the temporary employee is being paid, which would render full-time district employees not having the opportunity to make the same amount of money as the temporary staffing agency, which would be obviously invoicing that amount. In closing, I look forward to working with this board to help improve the quality of life, not only for the students of UISD, but also for its workers who make up the lifeline of this great district. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Next, we have Ms. Edna Olmeda regarding raises.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Mr. Gonzalez, members of the board. My name is Edna Almeida, and my mom always said I was different, so I'm going to make mine plain and simple. We are here to ask once again that as you plan for next school year's budget, you consider the high cost of living and or the high rate of inflation, and give us the substantial increase in pay to make a decent living. But before I do that, I want to share a little bit of my life. And maybe you get a better understanding of what we, your employees, go through. I recently let go of a house in McAllen, which I had bought back in 2010. Sorry if I get emotional. With my husband. After my separation, I struggled but managed to rent it. And although I lived paycheck by paycheck, I still managed financially. Now, this was a house I planned to live in as I retired. Fast forward 2022. I was diagnosed with cancer and had to undergo surgery. And praise God, all went well thanks to God and a group of wonderful friends I am blessed to have in my life. Shortly after, I was told I had thyroid cancer and needed surgery again. Again, all went well. And I am standing here today, for I know God had a purpose for me. Hence, this is why I'm here. Now, I'm not looking for pity nor sympathy. I just want to make a point, sharing my story. I had to do what I needed to do in order to make ends meet. I couldn't afford the luxury of a house for my future retirement, so I had to cut down and budget accordingly. Now, I'm asking you all to start cutting down on things so that you can give the staff and teachers the raise they so rightfully deserve and need. We can no longer afford some of the things, some of these high-paying and exuberant salaries, nor can we afford the countless positions as seen in our organizational chart. Let's start cutting where we can in order to find the monies, Sam Flores, to make this our raise possible once and for all. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Next, we have Mrs. Clarissa Fraga regarding the TIA and T-test concerns.
Greetings. I'm here representing the many individuals who were left baffled at the injustices they endured with the current flawed TIA system that our district has in place. Full disclosure, I'm a second grade teacher, not partaking in the allotment. I am simply here as the voice for the many individuals who fear speaking. Evidence can be provided to show that many teachers were discriminated against using an opinionated-based evaluation known as T-test. I am fully aware that you were told administrators go through rigorous trainings, calibrations, etc. in order to ensure a fair evaluation. I watched as you questioned them and clearly stated that you did not want to end up with low morale, and you were assured that that would not happen. But on the contrary, it is precisely what has happened. Yesterday, individuals who did not meet the requirements were invited to a meeting for additional information to explain why they did not qualify. In that meeting, teachers were told the following: though our administrators are trained, it is likely errors will occur. We are human after all. In addition, keep in mind that every administrator runs their campus differently. Therefore, we will see differences in how teachers are being evaluated and rated. Also be aware that a score or evaluation can be dropped at the discretion of your administrator, and whether they drop your highest or lowest is too at their discretion. Ladies and gentlemen, if you heard this clearly, then you understand that what was insinuated here is that all the money put forth to train for fair evaluations has gone out the door, leaving us with an unfair evaluation system that is based on opinions, feelings, and left at the discretion of each administrator. These teachers were given a manual, they read it, they signed a contract for understanding. Then suddenly mid-February changes were made to the manual after the contracts were already signed. And the very individuals who made these changes are reporting that the real problem is the lack of understanding by our teachers. That is not so. Some teachers reported that their administrators stated that they were directed to rate their teachers at or below proficient, thereby hindering their chances at obtaining the TIA. They feel defeated and unappreciated. Teacher A states, I have worked incredibly hard and made many sacrifices in this profession to get you your A rating, to get you your distinctions. But you dare rate me at developing? If you are going to rate me as such, then I will begin to perform as such. Teacher B literally cried herself to sleep while on the phone with me. Indeed, truly sad. Teacher C stresses the following point. If my administrator doesn't like me, I will never even stand a chance. Campus A, as I will call it, scored top 5 in the district, meeting the 30-60-90, and yet not one regular education teacher received the teacher incentive allotment. And the only one that did, from what I hear, so happens to be the sister of a board member. On the other hand, you have Campus B, who doesn't compare, doesn't come close, did not meet the 30-60-90, and more than 10 individuals were awarded. Yet even within Campus B, you have educators who scored a perfect 5 on student growth measure, a 5 on STAR, with 81% passing rate. Thank you. With an 81% passing rate and given a 0 on T-test, thereby being disqualified. While her neighboring colleagues scored much lower on the student growth measure, with a 69% on STAR, and was awarded. Campus C scored a perfect 100% as a grade level, and not one single teacher was awarded. You have failed our teachers. Explain how any of this makes sense. Teacher D would like to say, for a data-driven district, let me remind you, the data does not lie, even when the district does. Thank you.
Next, we have Ms. Lucia Pena regarding the TIA.
First and foremost, thank you board members for giving me the opportunity to voice my concerns. I'd like to start by saying that I stand here today feeling unappreciated, nervous, scared to speak up on an issue that has not just affected me personally, but my colleagues as well. Scared to lose my current and future positions here at UISD. Scared to be targeted for speaking up. I am here to speak on behalf of those that continue to be afraid. What does TIA mean to those of us in a teacher's salary? It meant I could possibly replace my tires for new ones due to a long commute. It meant I could finally take my family on vacation that is not just a day trip to San Antonio. It meant being able to afford all the soccer training fees, baseball equipment, dance lessons, art supplies, etc. for my children. It meant I could catch up on bills due to unpaid maternity leave. The TIA was created for recruiting, rewarding, and retaining highly effective teachers in all schools. TEA passed guidelines like having to use T-test, student growth, and other factors that were to be determined by the district. We believe that our district failed to create a well-thought-out scoring system. In yesterday's meeting, which started before the scheduled time, 3:10, before us, the educators, were done with dismissing our students, Ms. Lessa read our questions and concerns and answered with, we cannot remove T-test from the evaluation process or the scorecard, when in fact the educators were only questioning the subjectiveness of the process and the lack of consistency when evaluated. Now, board members, I'm going to give you an example of one of my areas of an observation from my evaluator. In the Domain 3, Dimension 3.3 Classroom Culture, where the teacher needs to lead mutually respectful and collaborative class of actively engaged learners, where the class is student engaged, is student led. Based on the T-test rubric, a proficient teacher would only have students work individually and in groups. An accomplished teacher would have students work with each other and the teacher. And then a distinguished teacher would have consistently engaging all students with relevant, meaningful learning, while creating a positive rapport among students and encouraging each other's efforts and achievements. Now let me give you an example of my evaluator's note. On the said dimension, she wrote, I'm just gonna say the clue words, the words that she used. Students help each other using, during the lesson, positive collaboration between peers and the teacher. Teacher guides the students. I was rated proficient. My scorecard has a 3.0. On the same evaluation, same day, yet this evidence was placed in another dimension. Listen to the words she wrote. All students were engaged in the lesson. May I continue? Thank you. All students were engaged in the lesson. Emily was going to solve the problem. She had fluency. She did her strategies. Teacher, why did you highlight, the teacher said, why did you highlight 2 sandwiches, Emily? Student, nervous. Chloe, it tells you how many sandwiches she bought. Chloe's the student, by the way. Classroom relationships are positive and encourage risk. Those were her words. Teacher, excellent observation. Student, she forgot to highlight. The teacher used Class Dojo. Let's see, Emily was giving a treat for participating. Here, I was rated an accomplished. We are not asking you to remove the teachers component in our scorecards. We are asking you for you to fix the system that has been put in place to score us. We are not being informed as said in these presentations. We are not given a clear view of what scores we are receiving until the day of the designation. Many of us received a top 5 in the student growth measure and at the STAR achievement and progress component, yet receiving a 0 in the T-test component, all because our average was below 3.7. We clearly needed at least a 4 to be recognized. We read the manual. In pages 6 to 7, where it talks about T-test, they failed to clearly state that if you got it below 3.7, you would get a 0 in the T-test component. In pages, however, in pages 10, where they talk about the STAR student achievement, they were able to say proficient, greater than or equal to 53, but less than 55, it renders to a score of a 3. However, in this section, it does not clearly state that if the teacher receives less than a 3.7 average in the domains 2 or 3, they will receive a 0 on the T-test component score, and therefore losing any opportunity to be rated at least in the recognized division, even after perfect scores of a 5. Looking at my scores, I went ahead and calculated what could have been. If we were to keep my average score of 3.59, on the T-test component, I would have received a 1.43. With my 5 in the SGM and the 5 in the STAR, I would have received a 4.43, leaving me at exemplary. Now, if we were to assign points 3 to 3.69, perhaps maybe awarding the teachers a lesser amount of points, but not leaving them at 0, we can still give them at least 1 point, and if this teacher gets a 5 in SGM and in STAR progress, she could still get the minimum, which is recognized level. We are known for our great performance in STAR. Our walls, our binders, our student folders all have data. We are known for being a data-driven district. How come our data states that our educators are masters or distinguished levels in student growth measure and a student achievement, but fail to show that in the T-test component? All because of a rule that was created by our very own district. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Ms. Jocelyn Martinez regarding student safety.
Good evening, board members. Good evening. My name is Jocelyn Martinez, and as a parent of a UISD student and taxpayer, I'd like to express my concern as my son had an incident on April 28th. While playing at recess, my son fell and fractured his ulna, radius, and wrist at Veterans Memorial Elementary. As a mother, I was devastated having to watch my son endure so much pain, and I have witnessed a very traumatic process leading to surgery. Yes, surgery. I then asked myself, how did he get such injuries at the playground? After speaking with the principal, Ms. Ramirez, on May the 9th, she explained that the playground was built specifically for students up to kindergarten or 6 years old, and that the courtyard was intended as a play area for the rest of the grade levels. She also denied any previous accidents, but after further investigation, I was made aware of other similar accidents in this campus. Let me describe this courtyard. All cement, no shade or trees, absolutely nothing to play with. Children find themselves just running around playing freestyle. This courtyard looks very much like the rest area for inmates in prison, except inmates have the area inside the building with AC, and our children are under full sunlight with 80+ degrees outside, just like the day of the incident. On May the 9th, after my meeting with the principal, I contacted Mr. Aguilar, our board member, and explained the situation. He did acknowledge the seriousness of this event and realized that action must be taken immediately to prevent further accidents. All children deserve to be treated equal. This is an elementary school. A safe playground should be created for all ages, regardless of their age or grade level, as these students are still children. So I'd like to also lastly add that this issue has been already expressed on previous years by other teachers, and yet I have my son here. This is something that was very preventable, yet my son had to go through this. So I am the voice for those parents and those students that have gone through this. So I am pleading that something is done. I'd also like to follow up with Mr. Aguilar regarding our conversation and what has been done up to now. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Next, we have Mr. Valentin Reese regarding employee raises and the teacher incentive program.
Thank you. Valentin Valer Ruiz, for the record. I'm a taxpayer, veteran, and a TSTA member. I am not here to speak on behalf of TSTA. I am here to speak for all UISD employees that do not have a voice because they are afraid of retaliation, bullying, bad evaluations, being relocated to another school, or fired. First of all, I would like to apologize to the superintendent for saying he makes twice as much as the president. What I meant to say is that he makes twice the salary of our congressman, who only makes $150,000, who has many years of experience as a congressman. Our superintendent makes presently $300,000 plus, with no prior work experience. Our new city manager only makes $250,000 with prior work experience. I am not here to attack the superintendent. I am only speaking the truth, that we need to cut the fat. The fact is taxpayers are suffering, to include UISD employees who are suffering from a 9% inflation rate from July 2022. The superintendent can afford to buy eggs and milk, while classified staff and teachers have to leave it behind in the grocery store. All UISD employees deserve a cost of living adjustment. The teachers' incentive allotment has an unfair qualification process that you have heard. What about the teachers that help as team players, along with the paraprofessionals, custodians, food servers, and bus drivers? Their team efforts do not count. Are we not part of that team? Are administrators and schools taking a cut from the TIA program like they are in LISD? Why are we leaving schools from the north out? I respectfully request, in addition to what I'm saying, that the UISD board to request a hair follicle drug test to clear the name of the board member that got himself in trouble. It is sending a bad message to students, employees, and taxpayers if you refuse. Any of us would have lost our jobs. Taxpayers are hurting and fed up. We are so mad that they will vote you out. Thank you very much.
Next, we have Mr. Jose Alvarado regarding redistricting.
Good afternoon, my name is Jose Alvarado. I wasn't here specifically to speak about TSA, but I'm behind the teachers. They do need a raise. I think that there is a lot of fat to be cut, and I completely agree with them on all that. The issue that I'm here for was redistricting, and in the past, I once had a conversation with the previous attorney, and I remember that he told me that the board acts as one. And I remember him saying that, and I asked him, so if one does one thing, it belongs to the other. And he says, yes, because they act as one. So if one does something wrong, it belongs to all the other. And he's, yes, because they're all acting as one. For some reason, time passed and I got on his bad side, and he admonished me and told me that no matter what I did, he was never going anywhere. He's no longer here. I'm not taking credit for that or saying that I moved him or anything, but la moraleja de la historia en esto es de que no somos eternos ni permanentes. Todos en algún momento we're going to leave. And what's important is what we leave behind. And one of the only things that maybe that we own is our integrity and our honor. And I believe in that. I wholeheartedly believe in that. With this redistricting, in my opinion, it's a violation of the Voting Rights Act, in my personal opinion. You're diluting the vote of one of the poorest communities in Texas. That's what you're doing. You're taking away their power to vote. That's what you're doing. That's not integrity. That's not honor. Let those people choose. You're just encompassing one street to favor one board member that was thrown down our throats, who self-admitted he committed voting fraud. He admitted it. And there's a record of him admitting to it on KGNS, I think. You can look at it yourselves. And this is the person that you're giving us. That's not integrity. You're taking his integrity and his honesty and his honor to you, because remember what the past attorney told me, that you all act as one. So his is yours too. One of the rules for the Voting Rights Act is that there has to be full disclosure of data and proposed maps. I haven't seen any data on it. All I know is that they're just encompassing one street, and I hope that is not what is being done here. And that takes me to something that I take very personal, and I believe that I agree that there has to be a drug test, not only for the teachers, for everyone, even for the board members too. I think it's very important that everyone gets a drug test. And here's the challenge. I have some drug tests over there. If anyone of you wants to take a drug test, I'll take one too. In fact, whenever you call me and tell me show up at this place, I'll take the drug test too. I was going to say, within business hours, nah, forget that. You call me 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, you want me to go take a test somewhere? Call me. I'll go take the drug test. Want me to take an alcohol test? I'll go take that test. And that's a challenge for you all today right here, that you make a policy that everyone has to get drug tested. Everyone. Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
All right.
Mr. President, I'd like to respond to that. I will take
Let me
lead.
remind you, Mr. Castillo, we're in public comment section, so you can respond with a factual statement if it's factual. If it's an opinion, we will have to refrain from listening to an opinion of yours. Is it a factual statement that you can respond?
Well, it is in fact my statement that I will test anytime, anywhere.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Next, we have Mr. Victor Vasquez regarding the discipline.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
I was very surprised that I see that with this redistricting, I was surprised that Gilbert Aguilar, I sponsored that something that's going to benefit him. And I think I'm going to say almost everything I was going to say too. But the thing I want to bring up to attention is that you guys need a code of conduct. The teacher has one, the student has one, but you guys have none. Some also have been happening in the past where board members have been dating teachers, employees. There's no code of conduct for it. You got somebody get in a contract, nothing is done with it. Somebody get arrested, still sitting on the table to go into school functions, and it was here today too. Nothing happens. You guys need a code of conduct. I don't know if you guys are going to do it, but should include also drug tests. You should be sending the sample to all the kids, because I know once in a while you send a newspaper, kids how to find the school, he goes straight to Step Academy. I never hear the kid go as a child, or a kid has a chance to defend himself. But if it becomes an adult, you guys get arrested. Now they say you guys are guilty about it, we're just saying that nothing happened. Nothing happened. And you represent the school, you represent us, and we above you guys, not the way around. So we come here asking to, somewhere, somehow, you need help doing a code of conduct, you know, and you have the chance to see my page, a lot of people make a lot of comments about it. So something to keep in mind, you have lawyers, start working in something for next board meeting. We want to see a code of conduct. Yes or no?
Yeah.
Next, we have Mrs. Sara Santos regarding homebound retirement and STEM.
Hello, my name is Sara Santos. I'm a teacher at LBJ High School. I just have 3 issues to address, and I'm going to do it quickly because I know you all are tired. I'm not here to point the finger, put the blame game. This is not what this is about. This is to voice our opinion, to implement change. There's 3 issues. 1, homebound. Usually most homebound students are only allowed 4 hours per week of service, okay? And there's 5 subjects, especially in high school, where the homebound teacher has to address those subjects. So actually in 1 hour, they have 12 minutes or 24 minutes, 48 minutes, because if it's 5 divided by 12, I mean, you don't even have an hour, guys, if it's only 4 hours per week. However, teachers were paid mileage, travel. When you go out of town, when we go out of town for anything, you're paid, if you're getting paid mileage, you're getting paid back and forth. Homebound teachers are only getting paid only to get there. Yeah, we've been called witches and other stuff, but you know what? I don't drive a broom, I drive a car. If I'm gonna be told that we're gonna get mileage, then it should be back and forth, not just one way. Another issue would be, because I'm doing it quickly, guys, is retirement. I know you all put a cap when people are going to retire as to what they've accumulated in their local and state leave. Some are paid at 100%, some is paid at 75%, some is paid at 50%, and the rest either you lose it because you can't donate it. You put a cap because we want to save money. I understand that we're lacking funds. However, you're not saving money. You're spending more money. Why do I say that you're spending more money? Because the teacher doesn't want to throw away that time because she's not getting paid. So what is she doing? She's calling sick absences. Then she's getting paid for it, and guess what? You're paying for a sub. So you're not only paying those hours, you're also paying for a substitute. Plus, bottom line, kids, when a sub is at hand, they have a field day. They're like, yeah, it's a free day. We don't have to work. So they're not getting the quality of education, guys. Plus, STEP Academy. STEP Academy was implemented so children can learn when they make a mistake. Everyone commits mistakes. However, we do have JJ AEP and we have juvenile. Can I finish that? Okay, I'm gonna make it quick. We do have those facilities, but we wanted to teach. It's not being, kids are not being taught. Why? Teachers over there are bombarded with students. They're lacking teachers. You're buying their planning time. Instruction is not being given. I've been told by teachers over there, we tell them to log into your classrooms. We can't help all of them. But guess what? Teachers over here on the home campus are complaining. They're not on my timer anymore. They're not my student. They're their students. Why do I have to submit lesson plans for them? Why do I have to send the answer sheet, yet I have to grade it, ask for a grade change, because they're not coming out in my roster? So we're doing the grading, we're doing the teaching, yet they're getting paid as teachers. Teachers over there have told me, well, it's that we have kids that have behavioral issues. It's like, hello, we know that. They were with us before they went to you. They were in my classroom too. You're not providing ESL, AP, all of the different types of instruction. That's why they say they don't have the time. Well, it's not fair for the campus either. We have to LPAC. Before their time is due, they get pardoned, so they can go to their home campuses, so we do the testing. Everything is thrown back at the home campus, and guess what? Because they didn't learn, they were just told to log into their Google Classroom. When they get back to the home campus, the gap is bigger to close because they haven't learned. Something there has to give. Kids are not learning while they're over there. Why do we have teachers? Why are they getting paid teacher salaries if they're not doing teacher duties? They're doing teacher aid duties. That's why we have ISS. So if we're lacking funds, maybe we should have teacher aides over there. All they're telling them is log into your Google Classroom. We're not grading. We're not doing lesson plans. So why are we getting paid the same salary as them when they're not doing the job responsibilities and duties that a regular teacher does? Why? All of those three issues that I've mentioned have to be revised, especially when we're trying to save money. Maybe teachers don't have to be over there. Maybe you pay a teacher aide salary. I don't know, but something has to give. If something's not working, guys, and I'm not here to attack anyone, because even our Constitution has been amended when we saw that it wasn't working. What we're doing with those three issues that I'm telling you is not working, and you need to sit down and say, what can we change? Thank you.
Thank you.
No further public comments.
We appreciate all the individuals that shared their thoughts this evening. We will move on to agenda item 5, consent agenda. We have items A through J. Do we have a motion? Second.
I'd like to pull some of those items out, Mr. President.
Well, which one do you want to?
Irrigation.
Which is letter.
I just want some clarification on them. But anyway, the irrigation issue.
Do you have a letter?
Which is we're targeting which.
I didn't write the letter. Sorry.
Mr. Gonzalez, can you advise us where the irrigation?
Did you say innovation or irrigation?
Irrigation.
Irrigation.
I don't see it there. I don't see any irrigation.
Okay.
Would it be part of the awarding bids proposals or?
Yes. What are the awarding bids?
Oh, okay. It would be under the award bids. My fault. Sorry.
Okay, so I believe it's part of B then.
It's part of B, has to be part of B, right? Correct, so you had a question on that particular?
On the irrigation?
Yes.
Yes, I wanted to be sure that we had.
So we can get somebody in they can answer.
Yeah, just a brief overview, why we're needing landscaping and irrigation services.
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
Why do we need irrigation and landscaping services? Yeah.
Mr. Dunham? This is your department. So what we do is we work with the different departments and they tell us what their needs are. So part of this bid is to provide the actual shrubs, trees. We don't grow our own shrubs and trees. So we need that. And we also, I believe, do not have enough licensed, irrigators. But I'll let Mr. Dunham
So we're trying to get a product, a tree in a sense.
This bid gives us the labor for irrigation and planting, and it also gives us the actual shrub, tree, etc.
And did we go with the lowest bidder? That's my other question.
We awarded to both, so it's going to go by line item, basically.
Both meaning one side
Both
is
vendors.
lower?
Both vendors. So the tabulation is posted, so the department say they need
a shrub, they're gonna go with the vendor that provided the lower price for the shrub.
The lowest price, very good. Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
All right.
The other ones are I guess they are bids.
Part of that.
Well, the other one is on the Parent Square matter. We have Parent Square being used as the lowest vendor, I imagine, for
That one-
communication.
It's a renewal.
That was a renewal, and that was the highest ranked vendor, not necessarily the lowest vendor, but that was the vendor that the committee selected based on the criteria that the department gave us when we did the solicitation.
So it's not the lowest price?
No,
You're not going
it's not
by
always
that.
the lowest price. So when we do all of our solicitations, it's a combination. It's a combination for that particular solicitation. So that one had the certain
Do you know how
parameters.
much it's going to cost us more?
More than what?
If it's not the lowest?
Yes, let me give you.
Mr. President, I thought we had to make a motion to bring this item up.
No,
We're still with this item.
Yeah, we're just reviewing this.
I can't do a motion.
Yeah, I think we got a motion in a second, so we're in discussion right now.
Yeah. Just wanted to cover that before I vote on it.
Okay, so
Yes.
for the renewal of the Parent Square, the district will be paying $223,720. The other vendors bid, if you look at the tabulation, well, hold on, I'm gonna have to get math, hold on. Because this is for the 3-year period. So one of the other vendors was actually more expensive. It was $381,800. Another vendor was $180,000. So the lowest vendor would have been $180,000. So the difference between $180,000 to $225,000. But we also had a vendor that was $1.1 million. So you see that there's a big range between the 4 vendors that provided a price. So where it's not the lowest vendor, it's the second lowest in this particular case.
Sure, and last but not least, no, that was all my questions.
I have a motion.
Go ahead.
I want to go ahead and table letter D. That's a sub-motion?
Alright, so that should be a sub-motion. We got a motion. Discussion. And then we're in discussion.
So right now, based on Ms. Molina's request, we can pull D from the consent agenda. We can act on the other remaining items with the motion that's on the table right now. Once that gets approved, or if it gets approved, we can then address Mrs. Molina's item D.
All right, so we have a motion A through J. We did some discussion. Ms. Molina has a sub-motion to remove D. So we would do a motion, just A.
To approve A through J with the removal of D.
Okay. All right, so any further discussion on that? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so we move to a sub-motion. You would want to remove D. Do you want to
Table it or?
table it for
Table
the next
now.
meeting, or do you have a time frame on that?
No, but we can table it for the next meeting so we can discuss it further.
Motion a second. Any discussion on that particular sub-motion to table item 5D?
Just believe that there has to be a new future set. Deal, so we could table it.
To next meeting? Yes.
Okay.
So we're still
To
in
the next
discussion?
meeting.
Yeah, we're in that sub-motion, just voting on to table 5D, which is
To table to next regular scheduled board
motion and a
meeting.
second, so tabling for the next scheduled meeting.
Aye.
Any discussion on that particular sub-motion? Okay. All those in favor to table? Aye.
Aye.
So motion passes. All right, so agenda item 6, items for individual consideration. 6A is a discussion and possible action to approve donations. Mr. Gonzalez.
Chavelis, members of the board, at this time, the following donations of 1,000 or more being asked for your approval. UISD Health Services received a donation of $4,500 from the fiscal health plans to be used for sports, physicals, and several UISD campuses. Ruiz Elementary School 3rd grade classes received donation $2,500 from the Greater Houston Community Foundation and San Garza Fund. Alexander High School Magnet seniors received donation $1,000 from Marble Slab to be used to purchase the Magnet Senior Retreat t-shirts. United High School boys and girls swim team received donation $1,000 from Lescano Law Firm. Finally, United High School received donation of a steer from Mr. John Gato. Steer was auctioned for an amount of $1,082.26. The following donations of $1,000. Olacop Elementary received donation $500 from Roberto P. Martinez, president of Howland Engineering, to be used for teacher appreciation incentive. For this month, board members, the grand total is $10,582.26. I ask for your approval.
Motion. Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? None opposed. Motion passes. 6B is discussion possible action regarding requests from board members in reference to support discretionary funds for various projects and campuses. Good evening, Mr. Garza.
Mr. Vélez, members of the board, Mr. Gonzalez, members of the audience. In addition to what is in your board packet, we had some additional requests that I'll read out here. For requester from Muller Elementary, Ms. Myra Ramirez, on behalf of Ms. Michelle Molina. It's planners for students for the amount of $3,456.25. We have a request for the police department on behalf of Mr. Aaron Salazar, Ms. Michelle Molina, Javier Montemayor, our sponsors, for luncheon for Police Week for the amount of $673.12 total. It's split evenly amongst both board members. For LBJ High School, Mr. Salazar, a requester, Mr. Gilbert Aguilar, sponsor, football equipment in the amount of $3,000. And then UISD Police Department on behalf of Mr. Aguilar for Police Week, an amount of $1,047.54. And the last request is for the UISD Transportation South Compound, Mr. Aguilar, sponsor, for Employee Appreciation Breakfast at $477.50.
Thank you, sir.
That'll be it, sir.
Motion to approve.
Motion to
Second.
approve in a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? None opposed. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Item 6C, discussion possible action to approve board minutes for the months of March, April, and May 2023.
Second.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? None opposed. Motion passes. 6D, discussion and possible action regarding resolution approving employee compensation for temporary emergency closure on May 4th, 2023.
Good evening, board members. David Canales for the record. On May 4th, we had a water problem at Wattis Lincoln, so we had to dismiss our employees to go home early. So this resolution basically will help us compensate these employees for the day that they didn't work completely.
It was sent home.
Second.
Okay.
Motion
Yeah,
and
we had to
second.
send them home.
And was approved by our. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those
Thank you.
opposed? None opposed. Motion passes. Thank you, sir. Item 6E, discussion and possible action to approve board trial for the months of May and June 2023. You have a motion to approve?
for discussion.
Motion.
Wait a second.
Second for discussion. Motion and second, and, all right, discussion. Mrs. Molina?
Is this going to be for the South Padre trip?
Yes.
Yes. I just want to make sure that I was excluded from that.
You should have been, yes.
Yes.
I also wanted to make a note,
Go ahead.
President, that I will not be attending the South Padre
Okay.
event.
All right. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? None opposed, motion passes. Item 6F, discussion and possible action regarding naming LBJ High School field house pursuant to board policy CDW local naming facilities.
Second.
All right, so we need a motion for.
Motion.
The floor, Mr. President.
Go ahead, Mr. So we have a motion. We have a second, Mr. Aguilar. In discussion, go ahead.
Yes, I would like to make a motion to name the LBJ Lyndon Johnson Fieldhouse in honor of the great Mike Medina.
Okay, so we'll take it in discussion. So we'll vote on the motion.
Motion to approve.
Motion.
Second.
Right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Opposed. Item passes. 6G, discussion and possible action regarding trustee appointments, assignments, and delegations to external or internal committees and boards.
Make a motion that we
Discussion.
I'll second it for discussion.
My motion is that we recall our appointed trustee, Rick Rodriguez, from the appraisal board and set a special call meeting for next week to recall the votes cast in favor of Mr. Rodriguez and recast them in favor of a candidate to be determined next week.
Second.
So it's to recall and the special call in the same thing, in the same motion. We have a second. All right, any further discussion on that?
I'd like to see if you would be willing to amend that to include the safety committee assignment.
I don't believe that's an assignment that we vote on. That's an assignment that's...
The safety committee by statute requires the board president and then another trustee. It is my understanding that Mr. Rodriguez is not on the safety committee. Mr. Rodriguez is not on the safety committee.
He's not on the safety committee.
I believe it's me, I think.
Yes.
So if you want to do it and appoint somebody else, that's fine.
Yes.
Okay.
No, well,
I'm okay with it. Yeah, I'm okay with it,
no,
yes.
okay, that's fine.
Okay.
I don't think we need to vote on that.
Okay.
None of that, no.
So we'll, just one then.
So is there a motion?
So we have a motion by Mr. Montemayor and a second by Mrs. Molina. Any further discussion on that motion?
I just wanted to mention,
Go ahead, sir.
because I know that this is discussion.
Yes, sir.
That is where I think we could have done our testing for our board members. That's why I was recommending that we all do something where we trust that the community, that they trust us. I'm willing to take drug tests anytime, as I said, and I thought maybe that would be where we would fit.
Not right
This,
now.
but being that it's not there, you're probably not going to consider it, but that's where I thought we could have.
Can we talk about drug tests?
I mean, it's not really a part of this agenda item.
Right, so. I don't think we can discuss
on the
that
agenda.
particular
Yeah,
issue.
this is-
so.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
It's not in the agenda.
It's off topic.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
off the agenda top. All right,
We'd
so.
be in, for the public's knowledge, we'd be in
You, as
violation.
Mr., for the record, I haven't got to see the general counsel. As Mr. Belli said earlier, you can give statements of fact in response to that topic. Mr. Castillo did give a statement earlier. You can cite the policy, or you can also discuss future meetings, maybe item. That's the 3 items are limited because it's not in the agenda. Subsequent discussion of that topic would likely violate the open meeting.
Okay.
So basically, we have Mr. Montemayor's motion on the floor and it's open for discussion right now.
I would also like to make a motion. Can we add another motion to that?
Well, you're amending the motion.
Or amending the motion?
Because you second the motion.
Wait, I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you were amending.
So you second the motion?
I second his motion, but I want to add.
Or amend it?
Okay.
An amendment.
His motion was already seconded.
Okay,
Second by
yes.
Mrs. Molina.
We're in discussion right now.
We're in discussion.
In discussion, okay.
Yes.
So I would also like to see who is on the Clean Air Coalition.
I am.
Okay.
Yes, from what I
Mr.
did.
Castillo is.
And I believe Mr. Montemayor is the alternate.
Yeah.
And Mr. Ramirez was on the Clean Air Coalition, but he did not get replaced once you came into his position.
Yeah, which heavily impacts my district. So I would request that Mr. Castillo be removed from that committee to allow me to be on that committee.
I can remove myself. I'm okay with that. I'll remove myself, so you can take my place.
So we have an amended motion, which is basically piggybacking off Mr. Montemayor's, which is now adding your motion to be placed on the Clean Air Coalition, and we would be withdrawing who?
Me,
Okay, Mrs. Olivero. So now we need a second on that motion.
voluntarily for the record.
So I have a second from Mr. Oliveros, right?
Okay.
Okay, so now that's the motion on the floor right now, and it's open for discussion.
We're still with the original. Any further discussion on the original motion?
Just to clarify with all these motions and stuff, so it will be just a directive to bring back the resolution, or we're doing the changes right now?
So
Yes.
regarding an appointment to the appraisal district is obviously governed by the property code. So basically, appointments to the appraisal district get done by resolution. So in theory, if this motion passes, there would have to be a subsequent meeting with a resolution to recall Mr. Rodriguez's votes. And at that point, if that resolution gets approved, Mr. Rodriguez is officially no longer on the appraisal district. There would be a second resolution, a second agenda item to recast those votes for a new potential trustee to serve on the appraisal district.
Thank you.
Okay, so, and Mr. Montemayor referenced that right now in his motion.
Correct.
Right.
All right, so do we have any further discussion on that?
I wanted to clarify, that actually we can name 4 individuals through the Clean Air Coalition, so that's where I've been working with that premise.
Yeah, he's very involved. So
that's
I'll
where-
stay on and then we add Ms. Molina. Is that what it is?
That's only means 2 of us.
Okay.
I don't think I'm.
So then,
Montemayor's the alternate, I believe.
because there's, you can allow 4 members. Okay.
You don't want to-
So then we
you don't want
revert
to-
back to the original
original
motion that
motion and
Mr.
your second.
Montemayor made. Okay.
All right, so we have the original motion, a second by Mrs. Molina. Any further discussion? All right, so all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Aye. One opposed, motion passes. With that, we move to agenda item 7, closed session. The time is currently 7:50 p.m. in accordance with the Texas Government Code sections 551.071, 551.072, and 551.074. The board will discuss items 7A through 7C. No action will be taken in closed session. Open session, the board has reconvened from closed session. We are now in open session. Time is 9:21 p.m. For the record, no action was taken in closed session. Agenda item 8A, discussion of possible action regarding amendment to mini board marketing agreement between Impacto Media Inc. and United Independent School District.
Yes, Mr. President. The recommendation is to authorize legal counsel to propose a second amendment to the mini billboard agreement with Impacto Media Inc. as discussed in closed session, to convey said second amendment to the mini billboard agreement to Impacto Media as UISD's final offer with no further negotiations, and to authorize the superintendent to execute this second amendment to the mini billboard agreement if accepted and executed by Impacto Media Inc.
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
And second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? None
No.
opposed? Go ahead. You oppose, sir? One opposition. Motion passes. Agenda item 8B, discussion and possible action regarding redistricting of District 1 and District 4 boundaries due to 2020 census.
Yes, Mr. President, on this item, as discussed in closed session, we went over the constitutionality of the proposed boundary maps. I have a copy here for a display. I'm not sure if we have technological capability for that, but I have it with me.
Okay. I don't think we have it up there as far as to be able to display.
No.
No.
Can you put it? Yeah.
Jaime, the maps did meet all the constitutional requirements. as we
Correct.
discussed.
The maps met all constitutional requirements. The standard deviation is within the 10% rule, 10% test. I believe it's about 9% deviation. So that didn't change actually from the maps that have been adopted in the past.
I have a question.
Oh, do we need a
Well,
motion and a
we
second
need
for
a motion and a
discussion?
second to discuss.
I'll motion just for discussion. Okay.
Motion and second, discussion.
Go ahead.
So this amendment, this portion that you're adding back to District 1?
To District 1, yes, sir.
It was part of District 1 in the prior, before the.
It was
the reason-
part of District 1 approved in January.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, so it was already.
Excuse me, it was part of District 1 approved in 2022, and there it is. And it was removed from District 1 on January 25th, 2023, and it's, some input was gathered today, and we discussed the legalities in closed session with us, legal counsel, and this is the proposal on the screen.
So we're basically taking that piece of that property back to District 1. That's what we're doing, right? That's
Yes,
proposed.
correct. In regards to 2022, yes, ma'am, we are. That is the proposal before the
Keeps
board.
it within the allotted or allowed variance of the 10%.
Correct, yes, sir. It does.
And just for the record, that district is still the biggest one of residency, and Mr. Castillo will be second. So that's on the revenue, on the 3.3.
Excuse me?
On the amount of residents that live in the district.
Amount of residents that live in the district, I think it actually, it decreased in January because of the portion of District 4, it picked up that portion of District 1. So it's a very minor change now. But again, the voters that are being added in the numbers, registered voters, because that's the law. You can't have the registered voters from the smallest district to the largest district of all 7 districts be, or have a variance greater than 10%. You have, right now, I think a variance of 9%. That stayed consistent all through the past 2 changes because the revisions that were made to District 1 and District 4 were within that 9%. So I believe that 9% is based on, if I'm not mistaken, District 5, or Mr. Montemayor's district, and this being the smallest one. I believe the largest one is either yours or Mr. Vélez's. So no, not Mr. Vélez's, Mr. Rodriguez's.
And it improved, it looked much better on the rating.
Well, the variance between District 1 and District 4 did improve. It got lessened.
With this.
Can I see the part that we're adding on the screen?
Yes, you can zoom in. I think
I think it was circled. It had a circle. Yeah, but I saw it up here.
Maybe next page.
I think it was the other.
Go up.
Yes, sir.
No, the other paper had it circled. But I
Next
saw
page.
it. I saw it up here also. I just saw it. Right
Yellow
now.
one.
Like zoom out. You're just very zoomed in. Okay, there you go. Okay. I saw it.
I think it's a little bit south. There you go.
I don't see it.
To the left. Or maybe the next page, Mr. Olivero?
Oh.
That one.
I'm not seeing it the way I saw it in executive session.
It's on the next page.
Okay, well, this is my reasoning. Normally you redistrict once every 10 years. If it's approved tonight, that would be 3 times in the past 2 years. That's a lot. I know publicly it doesn't look right. It looks like if we're gerrymandering, we're doing things because there's an upcoming election. I know there's justification, I know it's legal, but I'm all about, yes, it's legal, is it ethical? Does it give the appearance that we're up here doing what we're supposed to be doing, which is in the best interest of not only the district, but our constituency? Is it fair? Is it right? Is it legal? Check, it's legal. And for the other reasons, I cannot support this item, but that's just me.
All right, so we didn't have an actual motion.
I did want to add discussion, sorry.
Yeah, we were just in discussion, but with the presentation, so go ahead, sir.
I just wanted to find out, when we went through this initially after the census, Department of Justice had to have some approval to that matter at that time. Is this going to happen with this change?
That's a good question, Mr. Castillo. We actually verified with the district's redistricting attorney, and the Department of Justice does not review UISD's maps.
Does not?
Does not, no, because the reason being, the racial makeup of Laredo, of Webb County is, I think, over 97% Hispanic. So the Department of Justice reviews maps. My understanding, based on my discussions with the redistricting attorney, Mr. Rios, the Department of Justice reviews maps in areas where there has been much racial segregation. So you have areas in Alabama, Georgia, that were subject to Department of Justice review, and I believe there was actually a Supreme Court case in 2018 or 2016, the Shelby County case. I think threw out a lot of those requirements, but regardless, they wouldn't have applied in UISD's case because it is in such a predominantly Hispanic area.
So what happens if, let's just say we're wrong? Would that attorney be there to?
Wrong on what?
On any matter regarding redistricting that Mr.
I believe he'd be willing to provide his assistance, yes, sir.
Okay.
I mean, at the end of the day, his input and his redistricting software was what was used to make sure that these maps meet constitutional muster.
Yeah, it's not illegal. What you're proposing,
Correct.
what the item
Absolutely
you're proposing
correct.
is legal.
I'm
right?
100% confident in that.
Yeah, it is legal, but
At this time, Mr. President, if I may have the floor?
Yes, go ahead, sir.
Can we make a motion, or?
Whoever wants to make a motion,
I make a motion.
we had a motion.
The motion and the
What was-
second has already been, we just.
What was the motion?
Got to call the
the motion was to.
Yeah,
Call the question.
Well, no, the motion was not for approval, it was just for discussion.
discussion.
At least Mr. Oliveros opened it for discussion.
Yeah, we're just a discussion, so.
Yeah.
Call the question.
All right, so,
Call for the question.
You can make a motion,
I
sir.
make a motion to approve the District 1 of District 1 and District 4 boundaries due to the 2020 census.
okay, so we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion on this item, this particular motion? All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed?
Aye.
3 in favor, 3 opposed. Item does not pass. Agenda item 8.
I thought it was 4-2.
I believe it was 4 in favor and 2 opposed.
I thought it was 4-2.
Wait,
Okay, so
okay, I voted against.
And
Mr. in favor, 3 in favor? Yes,
Mr.
3 in
Four?
favor?
Favor?
4 in favor.
Mr. Montemayor, Mr. Velis, Mrs. Molina, and Mr. Aguilar voted in favor.
Yeah.
And we
Four
have-
oh, I'm sorry, 4 in favor and 2 opposed.
Correct.
Did I count that correctly?
Yeah, 4 in
Yes.
favor? Yeah. All right, so motion passes, correction.
Yes, sir.
Agenda item 8C, discussion and possible action with respect to providing authorization to legal counsel to present proposed resolutions for sale of specific tracts of land to be considered by the Board of Trustees. Mr. Valls?
Good evening, board members, Superintendent. Yes, the recommendation is to allow council to return to the board with a resolution with respect to the sale of the Las Blancas property as discussed in closed session.
Sorry, go ahead, sorry.
And to continue with the analysis of the other properties at this time, as
So moved.
discussed in closed session.
Second.
Motion a second, any further discussion? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, none opposed, motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Valls.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Agenda item 8D, discussion and possible action regarding superintendent's annual evaluation.
Yes, sir. The recommendation is to approve the superintendent's annual evaluation as discussed in closed session.
So moved. Second.
Motion a second, any further discussion? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, none opposed, motion passes. Agenda item 8E, discussion and possible action regarding the appointment of principal at United South High School. Mr. Gonzalez?
Mr. Velis, members of the board, it is my recommendation to have Mrs. Marta Alvarez as the next principal of United South High School.
I'm sorry.
I make a motion to approve as presented.
Second.
Motion a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? None opposed, motion passes. Congratulations to Mrs. Alvarez.
Congratulations.
With that, it's agenda item 9, it's adjournment. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Motion a second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 9:33. Good evening. Thank you very much.